are we ready? Can I start now?
Okay, let's start.
Thank you. So let's begin. Good morning, all. I'm Mr. Zima. Is my audio clear?
Some more clarity can be there if you can manage.
Just wait a moment.
Yeah, you are better now.
I'm, is it good now?
Yeah, good enough.
Okay, let's start. Good morning, all. I'm Mr. Zima, your moderator for today evening. And I'd like to welcome all the committee members and our distinguished mentor, Tejaswi Sharma ma'am, for accepting our invitation on the behalf of Hult International College. Hope all the members are excited and looking forward for the entire session. Before moving towards our topic, I'd like to describe something about Hult is the world's biggest engine for the launch of for-profit startup emerging for universities in more than 100 countries and with volunteers around the world. Hult assumes that it is necessary for world move disruption that taps into energy innovation. Today's session is entitled as Upskilling Communication Basis. As we all know that communication is the vital part in every organization as well as in our student or college life. Communication is the process by which information is exchanged between the individual through a common systems of symbols, signs, or behavior. Likewise, communication skills are the ability used when giving and receiving different kinds of information, which involve listening, speaking, observing, and empathizing. Having proper communication skills helps us to be more confident, career progression, build better relationship with customers and guests, allow us to speak consciously, and many more. Tejaswi ma'am is a dual EMBA degree holder with specialization in international business and international finance management from Mumbai, India. Also involved with various top-rated business schools in Nepal and facilitate MBA students on core concepts of managerial communication, conflict communication, and negotiation skills. She served Nepal Sport Exchange Limited in capacity of CEO for 5 years. And besides this, she loves reading books, traveling around, and believing that superior interpersonal and communication skills are most to foster meaningful relation to both personal and professional fun. In our session today, sorry, in our session, Tejaswi ma'am will be explaining about group communication, communication strategy in various platforms, constructive communication, communication strategy for conflict resolution, effective communication, writing, speaking, and presentation, and professional communication skills in work. If you have any queries regarding this session, you can put the question in the chat box. Members and participants are requested to mute their audio unless they are requested to unmute themselves. Now, without any further delay, I would like to welcome Tejaswi ma'am in our session today. Welcome, Tejaswi ma'am.
Thank you.
Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Home. So, welcome everyone. Today, as already explained by, thank you for your warm remarks, first of all. And today, as you all know now, the session named, or I have chosen the title as Upskilling the Basics of Communication. So here, I'm not going to talk about very complex kind of concepts, or neither I'm going to go into much of the theory about why communication or what does it actually mean. In fact, I'm going to make this session a bit more interesting by putting forward some of the real life challenges that we face when we go out to communicate, or when we are trying to communicate with our group members or in a professional setup, and how it is different than the personal setup. And in our pursuit to improve our communication, what are the factors we need to take into consideration, which will directly, without much effort, makes us a better conversationalist. So it is not about what I believe is as a communication practitioner. It is not that one or two things that you do excellent in a excellent way that is going to make you a great communicator. No, what I believe is the changes or the adaptation of the tools and techniques has to be practiced in your day-to-day conversation, in your daily life, whether you communicate with your parents, your friends, your fellow members, colleagues, or with your professional or in your professional setup, whatever it may be. You cannot be like, I'm going to be this person only for this situation. No. Overall, we have to be a good communicator in every sector, in every role that we play in our daily life. I do not mean to say that any same kind of communication is practiced throughout all the situation. Absolutely not. According to the role we play, the style of our communication is going to differ. But whether we are in a formal setup or an informal setup, with whoever we are, we should try to be a good conversationalist. And for that, in fact, whatever I have realized from the communication concept or the basics is that the basics are same everywhere for any situation. So if we master and are aware of few of these aspects, our communication is automatically going to be better. So today I'm going to talk about whatever our moderator said about the topics that I'm going to cover. It is not a segregation. Okay, it is not that I'm going to devote this much of time for one topic and then I'm going on to the other topic. No, it is going to be a joint or a combined concepts which will help us to improve our own communication skills, helps us to be more professional when we communicate. And while we are communicating in a group or with more than two members, then what are the factors we need to take care? And when we are communicating, there are always the chances of conflicts are there. So how to avoid that? So all these are going to come up as one single concept with different sections. So to start with, before I move on with the slides and give it as a presentation, let me have this interaction for first 10-15 minutes where we can brainstorm. Though you might not be vocally involved, if there are any queries, any suggestions, or any feedbacks that you would like to put up, or the inputs that you would like to give, you are most welcome to use your chat box. Wherever feasible, whenever feasible, I shall just look into it and I'll try to incorporate those thoughts and inputs in the session today. Okay, so when I say communication, what is it that comes to your mind? Communication is definitely not a new concept to any one of us present here. We have been communicating since our birth. Don't you think so? Or if you haven't realized that, then let's realize it right now, that the moment we are born and we start engaging ourselves, giving, making sounds, trying to getting attention, when we are hungry, when we coo, when we produce different kind of sounds, we are already communicating. And more than verbally speaking, maybe we started listening much more earlier than speaking, right? That factor is also to be taken into consideration. We started listening and then we slowly moved on to speaking. So communication is not new, but why so much of hype about communication right now? Why we hear everyone saying that you need to have good communication skills. Communication really helps you to grow in your career. It helps you to make a separate place in the workplace. It can be your competitive advantage. Why there is so much hue and cry about communication? Let's take few examples. I would just like to give you an example which we face in our day-to-day life. We go to a doctor, and there are different kind of doctors we might have come across in our daily life. There are some are physicians, some are gynecologists, some are heart specialists. For our parents or our friends, relatives, or for ourselves, we might have visited different kind of doctors. But then over our lifetime, we always happen to trust one or two of them. Or there are just one or two of them whom we feel so comfortable going to. What is one of the reasons? Just think about it. Next is the shops that we visit. When we enter a shop, how does the shopkeeper treat us? Does it make an impact on our purchasing decision or not? If not the immediate purchasing decision, I'm so sure that whether you will be visiting that shop again or not is definitely going to be impacted by the experience that you get in that shop. The third one is, let's take the example of even our classmates or colleagues or our friends and relatives. Are there few people whom you really like to talk to? Are there few people whom you constantly go for advice and suggestion? Are there a set of people whom you would go with a problem, or when you have to share some kind of your feelings, or you need serious or genuine advice and suggestion, is there someone you always run to? I'm sure that definitely in most of these cases, you have assertive answers or affirmative answers. Yes, why it differs? One of the factor, if you realize, is the way the other individual communicates. I visit a doctor and the doctor is very rude. Instead of making me comfortable, he or she starts scolding me. Who told you to eat this? Who told you to apply this? Who told you to do that? Where the person immediately starts making me feel guilty, or as if I have comments or done a very grave mistake. I might have made a mistake. That's why I am ill, and I have come to you for medication. At that point of time, when I'm already ill, when I'm not already in best of my health, if the other person just tries to make me count my mistake and make me feel more guilty, I'm definitely not going to like that person. Maybe that is for my own good, but who cares at that point, right? We are in a totally different kind of a mindset. There is another doctor who comes to me and said, okay, let me know what caused this. So what made you do this? Who is letting me open up, who tries to understand me? And there are few doctors who are so much engrossed. They have become mechanical and robotic. They are like robots. The moment the patient goes and sits there, they start noting down everything, just prescribe the medicine, and you are out of that cabin. There is lack of personal touch. When there is lack of personal touch, when you are not welcomed, then the connection is not established, and that is really bad for a long lasting relationship. I'll come to all this again. So this is a very simple example. Next, I told you about a shopkeeper. I enter a shop, the person, and I ask for, do you have size on this, or do you have any different color? Then the other individual, what they does, they continuously play with their mobile. They are so reluctant to get up off the seat to assist me. And when I say, can I get different colors, and I start seeing or you know selecting the clothes or opening up and trying out different dresses, the other person starts frowning, or they give me a look as if I was not supposed to do that, or I am increasing their work. How do I feel? I feel like, okay, I better leave the shop and come out. Now, that way, whether he has verbally told me something or not, non-verbally, that person showed me many messages. I'll come to it again. Okay, there is a genuine explanation for that. Then I told you even about our friends, colleagues, and our parents or family with whom we go and seek advice, with whom we would like to talk. There are some individuals in our life with whom you need not talk on the daily basis. But the moment you decide to strike a conversation with them, it's so easy. They make you feel so comfortable. They are non judgmental, they don't evaluate you, and first and foremost, they are open to what you are saying. They are willing to listen. They do not interrupt and jump to the conclusion. They are willing to give you time. Doesn't that make a difference? Obviously, it does. If we haven't realized it, try noticing it. Identify the individuals to whom you go frequently for suggestions and advice. Identify the individuals whom you share most of your problems with. You will definitely find these kind of traits in these individuals. They are open and welcoming and warm. They have the patience to listen to you. And when they listen, they do not make the information they received very minor or trivial. They don't give you a sense that, is this even an issue? Was this even to be hyped up to this extent? No, they make you feel that yes, you did the right thing or the best choice by coming to that individual. So these are very common scenarios which we face in our daily life, and it makes a very big difference on how your business work, how many patients you are going to have, what kind of relationship you hold with other individuals. So that's why I was telling you, communication, you are not going to prepare yourself only for one situation. It's not for one competition that you want to win. It is not only for your idea pitching or for the elevator pitch and things like that, or not for only a job interview. Improving, enhancing, and being aware of your own communication skill is utmost important for your day-to-day success in everything that you do. How you come across individual will be much more defined by the way you communicate, what kind of interpersonal relationships you have. And in order to have successful interpersonal relationship, communication is the key. Now, to some extent, you might be even feeling that this lady is exaggerating. She is too much about communication, and she is just saying that for everything and anything, communication is important. Let me give you a very simple example in a professional setup. Has anyone of you, okay, so first thing, soft skills. I hope most of you have heard this term, soft skills. This is one of the first, right? Many of the time there is this hard skills and soft skills are frequently uttered nowadays. Anything? Why was I muted?
No,
Hello?
we're listening you.
Okay. So what happens is when we talk about soft skills, then in the soft skills, the point is many people are today saying that more than the technical skills, soft skills are being sought after in the job place. And the reason is there has been certain research I have taken to back up my claims. Now let's talk in terms of industrial revolution and the need of soft skills. You guys must have heard about there are different kind of industrial revolution, or industrial revolution has been categorized into different phases. We have the first industrial, second, third, and now the fourth industrial revolution, or IR4. And even some authors have mentioned it at IR 4.0. So fourth industrial revolution. Now, what are the change agents in this revolution? Why from third? What makes the fourth industrial revolution different is the automation and the artificial intelligence. So these are identified as the change agent of fourth industrial revolution. Now, what is the relevance of soft skills in industrial revolution? Let me give you some insights on this. So it has been said that according to the World Economic Forum, what is the research tells us is, please listen to me carefully, around 65% of the kids who are enrolled in primary education today are going to have a new job once they grow up or they go to the job market. 65%. Now just imagine. The kids who are doing their primary education today are going to be in the job market, and they are going to be a part of what kind of job? The job which is not existent right now. 65% of them are going to be enrolled in a new job market. So what does it mean? For them, it is good. That's fine. They are going to study, they are going to develop a new set of skills, and they will be adapting so that they are sellable in the job market. What about the existing jobs? If there is going to be 65% new jobs coming up, what about the ones which are already here? That means most of the jobs are going to go obsolete. They are going to go out of market. And do you believe, is it possible? Is it possible or not? And how it is possible? Anyone here? Why certain jobs that we have today are totally going to go out of the market and it is going to be replaced by totally new ones? Anyone has anything to say on this?
Ma'am, like those job we have जुन फ्याक्ट्री वर्कहरूको लागि रेपुटेसन हुने टाइपको जबहरू चाहिँ आउट अफ डेट हुन लाग्छ म्याम एक्चुअली बिकज त्यसमा कुनै पनि पर्सनल टच हुँदैन म्यानुअली गर्ने कामहरू हुन्छ र सो रिपिटेडली हुने कामहरू चाहिँ लस हुन्छ
Exactly. Great answer. Thank you. Yes, the jobs which are redundant, which are repetitive in nature, now all those are going to be automated. I told you that the fourth industrial revolution is going to be marked with automation and AI, artificial intelligence, right? So whichever are the job which are performed in the same way, similar way, it is a repeated kind of a task, these are redundant kind of a task, they are going to automate those. So whoever was working on that, now they are going to be replaced by machines. So many people are going to lose the job. And even in the same research, there was an interesting aspect which was analyzed, that which are the jobs on the most highest risk. And there were some of the jobs which had low risks of being automated. And some of the jobs were like totally going to go out of the market. So if you do some studies on that, even these kind of speaking sessions, now when we talk about these lectures and facilitating the session, now recorded sessions are coming into practice, right? So there might be a time when everything will be written out, it will be read by someone, and then we need not have a human touch. But then now my point here is, if most of the things are going to be automated and artificial intelligence is going to take over, and mind you guys, I'm not talking about these things in like 20-30 years down the line. They have said that this might start coming into picture immediately in 2025 and beyond, and most of these might come into practice after 2030 itself. So we just have this 5 to 10 years time before we see most of the things being automated by or automated. You know, in Japan and few other countries, advanced countries, there are already these metros and trains which are fully automated. You don't need even a driver for it. So in many industries, our manufacturing sectors are already automated. So what we humans can do, which machines cannot? How are we going to compete with the machines? Have you given a thought on it? Now the human is not going to compete with human. In fact, whom we are going to fight with? We are going to fight with the machines. So how you are different, or what you can do, which machines cannot? Can anyone tell me a few of the traits that we human are capable of, which machine still lacks?
Emotion reading.
Emotions? Did I hear it right?
Yes, ma'am. Emotions,
Yeah.
Personal touch.
personal touch.
Personal touch.
Yeah. Right. So, you know, there are factors. 3 core areas has been identified, that wherever there is the need of creativity, machine is still backward. Our human mind or our brain is still so much capable. We are still so much advanced. We are told, right, we use only around 2 to 3% of the capability of our brain, I guess. I hope I'm not wrong. And Einstein is said to be the one who used the maximum amount of his brain, and that was also only certain percent, not even 100% was used. So this human mind, our brain, is capable of so much, but we are not even using it properly. So that caliber or that capacity is within us. It's not that easy for the machine to replace, but are we making ourselves competitively ready? Are we ready for this competition is the question. So I was talking about 3 core areas which has been identified by one research, which says that creativity, these areas where creativity is required, still humans can outdo machines. The next is, like you guys said, emotional involvement. So that is called social interactions. So wherever these social interactions are required, personal touch is required, still we humans are much ahead than the machines. And then the third one is interesting. We might not have thought about it. Physical dexterity of the human body, the mobility, the way we can move our hands, fingers, how we can twist and all these things, where all we can enter, how we can mobilize our body, how good, well, fast we can run, jump, do anything, right? We can squat, and then anything and everything. That physical dexterity and the mobility that we have in every part of the body, that is yet to be replicated. So in these areas, when I say creativity, when I say social interactions, is it all related to our academic degree? Is it the technical skills that I'm talking about? Absolutely not. These areas are the areas which talks about or which emphasizes on our soft skills. Do you have creative problem solving skills? What kind of innovative skills or how innovative are you? What is your creativity level? What is your emotional intelligence like? Are you empathetic in your approach? Do you have this quality of empathy? Now, these are the things which is going to make you different and help you fight with the machines. So we have to try to sharpen this. In no way I am saying that technical skills are of no use or they are not important. No, please do not get me wrong here. I am not saying it is not important, But in certain areas, in certain criteria, just being technically sound is not enough to fight in this world today. Because technical knowledge, now anyone and everyone, whoever enrolls in a degree, or even we can feed in the machines. But then how you utilize it, how you maneuver it, how you decide in what kind of situation, which is the best way to go forward. Now that is really important. And that, in a way, thank God that still machines are not able to do it. Okay, so that is the point here. Now, let me share my screen so that I can show you some research findings. Okay. I hope my slides are visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I already talked about most of the things, but let me go to some of the research. Now, core soft skills, which has been talked about or much talked about nowadays, is ability to work in a team. It is the oral and written communication skills, and how you manage time and the organization of time, creative problem solving, initiative and enterprise, and then critical and analytical thinking. These are just generally the core skills which are much talked about. Now, it is not only a hype. Soft skills are important and you need to work on it, is not only hype, just a hype, because the most of the desired skills is not being found in the potential candidates. That's what most of the companies, when the Bloomberg did a research, they said that we are not able to find the skills like strategic thinking, creative problem solving, leadership skills, communication skills, analytical thinking, and the ability to work collaboratively. Now see, these are the skills what the corporate world today is looking. And it is not only to be a job seeker, absolutely not. Even when you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to manage your organization, and you yourself should have these kind of soft skills in order to be successful in your entrepreneur venture. Okay, so technical skills remain important, of course, but research shows that employers now look to so-called soft skills, such as candidates' ability to lead, to problem solve, to innovate, to build relation, to adapt rapidly, and to communicate effectively. In whichever soft skill related research you see, you will find communication skill. I hope you guys are noting it down. Now, there was a thing found out by an individual. LinkedIn has done one research, and the individual has been quoted here saying that strengthening a soft skill is one of the best investment you can make in your career, as they will never go out of style. Plus, the rise of artificial intelligence is only making soft skills increasingly important, as they are precisely the type of the skills robots can't automate. So that was what I have been telling you so long. And among the skills for 21st century, what does the research says? Now see, in core competency, I want you to focus on this, the center part, the competencies. You can see that there is critical thinking, that is your problem solving, creativity, again communication, and collaboration. So these sectors are going to give you that competitive edge. When I take classes for the MBA, I always ask my students to think about it. You have thousands of graduates coming out in the market every year. Now, how do you think you are different than the rest? That is really important. Just being an MBA graduate is not enough, because there are 1,000 others who are an MBA graduate. So what makes you different? Why employers should hire A and not B? And that is your competencies. And these competencies can be, you can enjoy these competencies by working on your soft skills. So see, the communication, again, in top 5 skills the companies wanted, which was done in 2019. Again, there is creativity, persuasion, collaboration, adaptability, and time management. And persuasion, mind you, it is again a part of communication, right? And so my point here is, let's try to understand communication. Let's know it, learn it, and master it. So today I'm going to talk about some of the basic things. So before I move on to it, I want to show you one data here. Yes, this one. Now, what employers want from new hires? Now, this was again a research done in 2017. Now, all these hot pink or like purplish kind of bars you see, these are all related to communication. Okay, people have said they want oral communication maximum percentage, then they said we want to see listening skills, there should be written communication, presentation skills. So ultimately, out of these whole list, there are 5 to 6 items which comes under communication. So do you think you can ignore how you communicate in order to succeed? Definitely not. And I'm happy that all of you, whoever are present here, I'm sure you are already convinced that you need to enhance or improve your communication skills if you want to succeed to the level that you want. It is not that you will totally fail, but maybe the success will come to you more easily and in much more efficient way, and maybe even within the desired time frame. So that is all really important. Now, let's go to some of the few aspects which I have identified, which I feel will help you to better your communication in your day-to-day life. I'm going to talk with few of my favorite quotations, which I mostly come up with, because I believe that these have stated and emphasized the importance of communication skills in its true form. So according to the scholar, Peter Drucker, he has said that as soon as you take one step up the career ladder, your effectiveness depends on your ability to communicate your thoughts in writing and speaking. There has been few of the talk programs that I had been or I had looked up, and what they say is, see, I might be having a very great idea. We as an entrepreneur, we as an individual who wants to have their own startup, we might have great ideas with us, but just having the idea, is it enough? That is absolutely not enough. Ideas might die within us if not present in the most likable or acceptable form. I might have an idea and that idea is very brilliant. But when I come to talk about my idea and I want to express that idea, if I am not clear in my expression, I'm not able to express how I feel about it, what I try to say, maybe whatever may be the language that I'm using for communication, I might not have fluency on that language. I am not able to draft my message in such a way that it looks properly organized. It doesn't have a proper introduction, neither it has a proper conclusion. The content of the message is not properly formulated. Then my idea might be rejected. And many a times this has happened. Few great ideas had just gone to the dustbin and a mediocre, very average kind of ideas have been accepted. Why it happens? Ultimately, it is also because of the way the idea was presented. Okay, so how you express yourself, whether you are talking verbally or through nonverbals in the oral form, or you are writing and presenting, the clarity in your talks, the way you present your information is really important. And we will talk about it, like how we can do that. Let's understand this communication process. Nowadays, every one of you are aware. If I had raised this question on what exactly the communication process looks like, then most of you would have come up with it, right? There is going to be a sender, there is going to be one receiver or a set of receiver, and then there is an exchange of information, whether it is the opinion, ideas, expression, views, whatever it is, you exchange it, and ultimately some task is done or the message is transferred. Now, basically, with the help of this simple skeleton of a communication process, I'm going to talk about many ideas related to communication. Let's understand. Now, from the sender perspective, there is a message I need to send. Now, when I'm going to send a message, now guys, this is related whether you are giving a presentation, whether you are writing an email, you are preparing a report, whatever might be the process. The general basic idea is sum up in this figure. Everything lies within this, from the moment the sender decides to send a message till the moment the receiver receives the message and gives the feedback, everything is summarized in this. So let's try to understand it through minute details. Now, as a sender, when I need to send a message, maybe I'm going to give a presentation, maybe I'm going to write an email. The first and foremost thing you need to do is understand the purpose of your communication. Now, why I emphasize on the purpose? All of you think about it. If I'm here to convince you, shouldn't my approach be different if I'm just trying to pass on an information? When I pass on an information and when I'm trying to convince someone, it should be different. If I'm here to entertain you, the way I talk, the kind of content that I will bring is going to be totally different. If it is a motivation kind of a session, the way I would try to persuade and just inject some kind of positive vibes in you is going to be totally different. So understand the purpose of your communication. Before you decide on what can be done, what you want to talk about, how you are going to give the particular information, please understand the purpose. That is going to give you much more liberty on how to draft or craft an effective message. Now, when you have understood the purpose of it, there is a concept. I'll come to it later. I told you about persuasion. Now, when we talk about persuasion, it is a very important part of communication skills, and it is not that easy to understand. Persuasion doesn't mean that just you go and you tell some information and another party will be convinced. No. When there is a need for persuasion, that means you have to give arguments and evidence to convince the other party that yes, this is the way forward. And it is not an easy task. So first understand the purpose. Why you are writing or why you are speaking or why you are presenting. Then next, very important thing is the you attitude. Anyone here would like to tell me, what do you understand by the you attitude? You should incorporate YOU, you attitude in your writing. Anyone?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so let's understand it. Now, I came here to give a talk today on communication, right? Now, should I bring in the topic which I think is most easier for me, the one which is useful to me, or I should bring in the topic which will be beneficial for my audience?
That would be beneficial for the audience.
Right? Exactly. Thank you. Now that is you attitude. I should think about my audience. I should be willing to understand the expectations of my audience. And you attitude, I'll give you a very simple example. Like, let's say I have to talk about some customers. I'm in a professional setup. I find that my customers have done some mistakes, but the customer is not willing to figure out. In fact, they have come to my office and now they are shouting and complaining that because of the office, I made this loss, or my product was destroyed, or the shipment was not on time. That person is complaining. Now, when I make him or her talk to me, then if I say, you didn't do this, you did the mistake, you didn't read the mail, you didn't contact us, you didn't clarify. Now, when I say that, it is totally wrong. That will only provoke the person. Other person will be further provoked. Oh, how dare you blame me? It is you or your company. Then the blame game starts. Your attitude in communication is really important. You have to focus on your audience. Be empathetic towards their need. What is their expectation? Give that the highest priority. Always in the presentation, we have this thought that we are the center of attention, right? If today is my speaking session, then I might think that, oh, wow, I'm the speaker. Everyone will be looking at me. Is there something to be so happy about? Even in our presentation, most of us might have problem facing the mass. You know the sole reason why that is a problem? Because I always get those kind of responses that, ma'am, everyone is looking at me. I am the center of attention. Then I feel somewhat, I'm so scared that everyone is gazing at me and they would pinpoint my mistakes. And that makes me nervous. That is wrong. if you understand one core concept, that when you are presenting, when you are speaking, when you are giving a session or a lecture, actually the audience is the hero. Do not consider you yourself as the protagonist. No, you think of yourself as a mere facilitator who is going to transform one message to the audience. I am here for my audience. I am speaking something, and if you guys do not find any value in that, if you think that, oh, I didn't understand what she said, or I don't think how this information is going to be useful to me, then do you think that was an effective communication? Can I be proud that, wow, I spoke for 2 hours, so I am the hero? Can I say that? Of course not. Because what I spoke, what I shared, what kind of information I am giving, my audience is not able to find any value in it. So what's the point of communication? The moment you think that when you are sharing an information, when you are giving a presentation, when you are facilitating a session, I am here to meet my audience need. And if they can have at least few important takeaways from my session, okay, I would be happy. So I am here to facilitate my audience. So who are my audience? What is their expectation? What they want to listen to? What they would like to learn from me? Which age group are they in? What is their career goal? What kind of information, if I share, that will be useful for me? The moment I do some research on this topic, my content is going to be very relevant. And once I have very good hold of this content, there is no chance of noise. Because if the concept is very clear in my mind, what I will do? I will be confident. The very basic reason why most of us are so nervous when we have to face the masses, one is we take the burden on ourselves thinking that we are the highlight of that talk or the presentation. The moment you shift this spotlight to the audience, you are already relieved. Next is we feel that we do not prepare properly. We come with the content which we are not confident about. Then we will worry, oh, what if that person asks me this question? Or what if I could not explain it? And the next one is we memorize, right? We try to memorize everything. The moment you try to memorize, what happens? There is no non-verbals. You will be not looking at your audience. You won't be freely talking. Your body gestures and all will be very much tight. You might be scared. You are just holding back yourself. You play with your specs. You play with your hair. You pull your clothes. And then we are just making ourselves more and more nervous because you are so concentrated on yourself and not on the content. But if for a presentation or a talk session, or when I even have to write an email or everything, if I do some homework on why I am communicating and what is the expectation of my audience, I will have very big clarity. And basically with that, I can devise my content. Okay, this is going to be my introduction. In the body, this is how I'm going to explain further. And in the conclusion, I'm going to give the glimpse of whatever I covered. And when you do research, do not confine your research to only the topics that you are dealing with. Now that comes in your learning attitude, how well prepared you are to learn new things. If I sit to do a research on soft skills, now just take an example of what I have done. I did a research on soft skills. So I said, why soft skills is so important. Now there were thousands of theoretical information, right? I could have just sat here and said, team building is a soft skills and explain what is teamwork. I could have write a paragraph on creativity, a paragraph on problem solving, and I could have simply said that. But is it something that you do not have access to? Of course not. Even when you do your Google search, you will be getting the same information that I got. I do not have any special Google, right? So what makes you different than the rest is how you devise your content. It is not about copy pasting everything and anything that you get. When your audience comes to listen to you, when a person reads your email or your report, they want your understanding and interpretation. They do not want the information which has been copy pasted from somewhere else. If I try to mug up what has been written by someone else, I will not be able to speak this freely because I haven't felt it from within. That was someone else's ideas. That was someone else's creativity. That was the content with which someone else could relate. As it was not my work, I would not be able to relate to it. Okay, so please do not hesitate to put in these kind of efforts when you decide to be a part of a communicator, especially the sender. So we said that whether it's a presentation or your write-up, always understand the purpose. Know your audience, then draft your message. Now, when it comes to delivery, selecting the channel is also equally important. When I talk about channel, if I ask you guys, what are the different kind of channels that can be used for communication, it's not a very difficult answer to get. You might give me ample of channels. Like there are emails, there are reports, there are face-to-face communication, there are telephonic conversations, there are video conferencing, video calls. There are so many of it, right? So how we decide which channel is good for what kind of causes? Now that is another thing we need to take care. In professional life, I have these kind of problems. Now we are talking from the professional perspective as well, right? So if I send a professional information through Facebook Messenger, maybe it won't be taken that seriously. The moment I send it as a mail, it might have a much higher degree of formality. When I give a call, there is a need of urgency. If I go and meet the person, then the other person might think this is something very important. That's why he or she is here with us today. Now, every channel carries different kind of information based on your priority, the need for confidentiality, the urgency, and the different kind of information that can be passed on through that channel. So please be careful about it. And when you are selecting the channel, when you are drafting the concept, there is one simple concept which will make it very easy for you to understand. Let me put it here. I told you about drafting the concept, right? I mean the content. Some of you might have studied if you have studied business communication or managerial communication, if you come from that subjects, you might have heard about 3-step writing process. That can be taken in case of anything. Any form of written correspondence, if you are going to make, 3 steps writing process is what they talk about. They say, first of all, you plan. So in planning, what comes? All the WH questions. Your who, what, why, where, how. You answer all that. That is your planning phase. Then comes your composing phase. There you sit to write your content. And the last one is your review. Then in your review, you try to proofread. Whatever, are there any mistakes in what I am saying? Is my structure correct? Is my format correct? Is this what the presentation was actually going to address? Objective is correct. My content is in line with the objective or not? So from the part of the sender, you have to think on all these aspects. Let me give you an example, a very simple example, which I like to give everywhere because it's so easy to understand. When I say composing a message according to the need of the audience, what kind of words you select, how courteous you are, how clear you are you energized enough, is there some kind of motivation and enthusiasm in your communication or not? It all matters, guys. Having sound knowledge of the content, but coming here and saying it in a very lethargic manner, like with your droopy shoulder, as if you are least bothered or interested, it is not going to have any impact on your audience. You should be involved in what you are doing. So there was this in communication, in composing, I'm going to give you few aspects you need to understand through a very simple example. Now, when I say there was a blind man begging by the side of a street. Listen to me carefully. There was a blind man begging by the side of the street. And when I say a visually impaired man was seeking assistance or financial assistance on the roadside, does it make any difference to you guys? Does the appearance or the sound of this few words in the sentences, these 2 sentences, does it make any sense, or you think nothing is there? A blind man was begging on the footpath. I say that. And next I say, A visually impaired man was seeking financial assistance by the roadside. Here, what is the message that I want to give is, nowadays we talk about being inclusive in our communication. That is also really important. Instead of calling someone blind, dumb, deaf, we have proper words which we think that which are much more dignified words. Disabilities has been renamed with special abilities. That kind of sense is also important. As a sender, when you are sending the message, see, there are so many factors you have to take care. Then begging, I chose to say financial assistance. Rather than footpath, I tried to say by the roadside, because the connotation with these kind of words are very different. Do you understand the concept of connotation? With some words, we have very positive kind of affiliation, right? When certain words are said, we feel those are positive things, we get positive vibes. And with certain words, we associate things like that is mean, that is rude, or that has negative connotations. So begging, blind, all these things does not give a very dignified kind of a picture. So what kind of words you choose is also really important. Now we have started making even our language or communication gender bias free. Instead of saying businessman, it is business person, chairman, chairperson. Manpower has been replaced with human resource. Why these kind of changes are coming? That is to show that we are inclusive. Even when you are crafting your writings, your emails, or drafting anything, or you are communicating, try to be inclusive of all the genders. Make sure that you are not demeaning anyone. Do you remember the clipping of the US President Donald Trump during the very early days of the pandemic? What he used to call this Chinese virus, corona, right? Instead of saying corona or COVID-19, what he was calling it? He was calling it
Chinese
Chinese
virus.
virus.
Chinese virus.
Yeah. Even in this press conference, has anyone seen that clipping? There was a lady who was from the Asian roots. Maybe she was a Chinese or someone. And when she was asking the question, Mr. Donald Trump was so rude to her. He
Yes,
just,
ma'am.
right? Yeah, not even taking her question. And he walked out and stormed out of the press conference. Now, how do you see this communication style of Mr. Trump? I know few people are still fan of him, or I do not hesitate saying that I'm not a fan of Mr. Donald Trump, because I don't find any kind of empathetic approach, considerate kind of approach in the way he communicates. And for me, as a leader, if you are a leader of the nation, if you are in that post, the way it is very important to communicate like a leader. The term leaders in crisis or leadership in crisis is coming up nowadays so much. Why? There are certain, there was also this very big debate going on if the females makes the better leader, just because New Zealand, Germany, Taiwan, these places control coronavirus in a very effective way, right? So these kind of things, the way you communicate, when Mr. Donald Trump, he said that, okay, you can use bleach or Dettol, are there that is the way to communicate? These companies, these sanitizing companies, they came up and say, please do not intake. It is hazardous to your health. They had to bring out this disclaimer. Do you expect a person of that position, or who is running the world's strongest economy, to communicate in that irresponsible way? Don't you think that is an irresponsible kind of communication? In fact, I heard that few of the people just swallowed that Lysol or Dettol or Harpic something, just because the president said it. Now there are such blind followers as well. How can an individual who is in that position say those kind of things? And again his example, Twitter and Facebook faced certain lash because he said some kind of inappropriate things which could have brought about hatred. Are you aware of it? Now, guys, my one suggestion to every one of you is, I don't know, most of you might be already doing it. We feel that when we talk about these soft skills, communication skills, leadership skills, this, that, it is more of a theoretical kind of concepts. It's only there in classroom or these kind of trainings. No. If you really want to improve and work at it, you should start realizing it in your day-to-day circumstances and the news that you face. Now, there was the hate comment. This can enrage or entice people to go to communal violence, or this might increase or bring about the wave of hatred. The President Donald Trump's tweet was brought down by Twitter. You are aware of it? And Facebook faced a very big backlash for not removing his post, the post which was found to be increasing or enhancing, or what should I say, supporting hatred. So those kind of things matters in communication. What do you say, how you say, what kind of words you brought about, in which position you are. So when you draft your message, whether it be for the written communication or the oral communication, whether it is your presentation, or anything, you have to think about it seriously. There are so many factors which impacts it. Now, channel, I already told you. Now, when it goes to the receiver, is there any responsibility of the receiver or not? Is the communication process only, effective communication process is only the responsibility of the speaker? Am I the only one responsible for our effectiveness of this 2-hour session?
No, ma'am.
No, right? So what can the receiver do? How can receiver positively contribute? We human beings will not always be the speaker. But I sometimes get this feeling that we are so much into speaking skills and improving our oral skills and then these presentation skills that we completely forget about listening. How serious are we about listening? That is also a very important factor. Now, when you are having a group communication, whether it be your meetings or it be your group discussion sessions, listening has a very prominent role. In fact, there are certain characteristics which are said to be sought out in the candidates when we look for group discussion. Nowadays, in different organizations or even in the college for the admission process, you see that people are made to be a part of a group discussion sessions, right? So what exactly is being accessed there? Speaking skills is, of course, one side to it. But then besides that, I would just like to list out a few of the qualities. So you are aware and you start inculcating those qualities within you, or start imbibing these qualities and displaying it or demonstrating it next time you are a part of a group discussion. So the first and foremost quality is the leadership quality. When we want our graduates or the candidate to be a part of a group discussion, we want to check out their leadership quality. Now, what are the factors which come in leadership quality? Are you a good initiator? Are you scared to speak at first, or you were not scared and you were the first speaker? Do you have this habit of taking the group along? Some people are obsessed with talking. They only want to talk. And they do not think about their group members, whether someone else is trying to speak or what might be their viewpoints. They do not encourage these minority voices. Now that is not a good trait, whether you are in a meeting or a discussion. Next is, what is your listening capability? Do you listen when others are talking, or you always like to jump to the conclusion, or you interrupt them? Next, are you oriented towards achieving your goal or not? Every meeting has a goal, right? We sit for a meeting to decide on something. Even for the group discussion, there are certain things that you want to reach as a conclusion. So are you goal-oriented or not? That is also something which is looked into. So we have to try to imbibe and demonstrate these kind of qualities when you are a part of a group discussion. Try to be the initiator. Try to take the group along. Be an excellent listener. And always ensure that if your team is deviating, how to bring them back to the topic. You should be aware of it. The next thing, very important, which is looked after, is your knowledge level. What kind of knowledge you have on the topic that you are talking about. That is another important thing. And only having knowledge is not important. You should be able to analyze that knowledge and interpret that knowledge. That is another important factor. Next is your clarity of thought. How clear you are on the topic that you are speaking about. That is the next thing that is looked into. And Another one is like your conviction and flexibility. Whenever we talk, now, guys, just imagine I'm here to talk about the communication skills, but I keep on, flumbering, or I'm doubtful, I'm very soft spoken. Whenever I'm sharing some information, I say that I'm not sure, I think it is right. If I say in this manner, will you guys be convinced to listen to me and have or follow whatever I say? No, right? But if I talk
No.
with conviction, and say that, yeah, this is how it should be, then you will be, for that moment, maybe later on you will go and do your research on that. That is a different thing. But at least for that moment, you feel that, yes, this is true. Oh, wow, why I didn't think about it. So you have to always speak with that conviction. डराएर सानो स्वरले हो कि होइन जस्तो गरेर मलाई थाहा छ मैले जे बोलिरहेको छु ठिक छ भनेर, त्यही पनि हामीले कतिजनाले बोल्दाखेरि कसरी बोल्छौँ, सानो स्वरमा नै गरेर बोल्छौँ, पूर्ण रूपमा मुख खोलेर राम्रोसँग नै आफूलाई एक्सप्रेसै गर्दैनौँ, लजाको जस्तो, हेजिटेन्ट जस्तो त्यो भयो भने पिपल आर नट गोइङ टु टेक अस सिरियसली. तर कन्भिक्सनको साथ बोल्ने भन्दैमा फेरि ग्रुप डिस्कसन्समा मिटिङमा बस्दाखेरि मेरो गोरुको 12 टक्का जस्तो पनि हुनु हुँदैन. You should be flexible enough. It's not necessary that when I am a part of a meeting or I am a part of a group discussion, I am always right. Someone else might have a better idea than what I thought was the best. So am I ready and open to welcome that idea or not? That flexibility should be with me. You have every right to cross-question. You have every right to ask the other person to elaborate further till the time you are convinced. But it should not be something like you are so rigid that until and unless your own ideas are not accepted, you are not willing to go ahead with it. No. So, and many a times if we, as far as possible, when we sit for group discussions or for the meeting, let's not try to make mistakes. Let's do our homework and come and join the meeting or the group discussion. But then by chance, it happens, we all are humans. And sometimes if there are some mistakes, do not hesitate to accept it. But one trick is you need not be very much outright. It's not necessary that you have to say, oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot this, I made this mistake. No. Try to be smart with it. You should correct yourself in such a way that other person might not even notice it. Now, that is also one of the traits of a good communicator. You might make a mistake. You might, whatever you were claiming might not be 100% true, but now how to shift your side from point A to point B. Now, there can also be some trick and tactics, right? So try to make it very subtle, but be flexible enough. It is very, very important. And even in the meetings, what I have seen is everyone in the meetings always do not communicate. Maybe even in this very particular committee itself, maybe if you are 10 or 20 of you, 10 people might be speaking, other 10 might be quite completely quiet. So what you will do? Should we just ignore those individuals who are quiet, or should we encourage them to speak up?
We need to encourage them.
Right? Yes, because in the meeting, we only call those individuals who have something to say, or we feel that their opinion is important. Not the meeting of bolauni ne kina. We call in the meeting or invite people who has to contribute or who can contribute. So if you are the one who are leading a meeting, and the one who is leading a meeting, we call them even chairperson of the meeting, right? So if you are the chairperson of the meeting and you feel that there are some members who are non-resident, they are not speaking up, they do not share anything, then please ensure that you call them out. Hi, Mr. So-and-so, what is your opinion? Miss So-and-so, I think you didn't say anything. Do you have anything to add to this? Make them speak out. Some people do not speak, and some people have this problem of over speaking. You know the concept of Mr. Know-all or Miss Know-all? Who are those kind of individuals? Mr. Know-all, Miss Know-all, we call them. So even in our groups or our discussions or our meetings, sometimes we can have these kind of individuals. It's not completely bad, but sometimes they can be a big problem. They are someone who has opinion for everything. From A to Z, they want to speak out. And those kind of people might have to be controlled. So you have to realize that. Otherwise, if there is only one or two people who has opinion and they do not let anyone else talk, then From next time, the other members might be discouraged to come to your meeting. So think about it. And as a professional, if you are a part of such kind of an individual, or you have such kind of personality trait, it is important that you change yourself. Yes, you might have opinion. In one topic you said, now let someone else say, then you can further add, right? And some people are long-winded speakers. We mock them by saying, once that person gets the mic, it's very difficult to stop them. Don't we make fun of few of the personalities like that? We do. So how to control that individual? Maybe the moment they are coming to the end of a statement, you have to say, now let's hear from Mr. A on his thoughts. Now I would like to welcome the opinions of Miss B. Now this is also a trait of the chairperson of the meeting, or who is moderating the meeting. They should make sure that only one person doesn't speak throughout the meeting. There should not be someone who is totally left out. Okay, so that is very important. The next one is there can be members who are, what should I say, erroneous. Maybe in your group discussion, or when you are having a meeting, some person shared the idea which is not completely right. Anyone has an idea here what you will do to deal with those kind of situation? Someone is sharing certain ideas, certain information, but you know that it is not correct. So how would you rectify that person? What would you do about it?
Interruption, I don't think it is good option at the same time.
Okay, interrupting at the same time might not be a great idea, right? Anyone? So when there is a mistake made by an individual of your group, or in a meeting, whoever is there, if they are not able to give the right answers, then the best idea a speaker or the moderator or the group leader can do is you keep it open for discussion. What you do is you float that idea. Okay, I said something and you feel that, okay, this might not be the perfect one, or it has some errors or mistake. Then you say, may I get the inputs from others as well? What is your thought? Then when everyone starts discussing on that, whatever was the mistake, that will be automatically eradicated. Something what is right, people will come in consensus with that. So you need not embarrass anyone by saying, oh, that is wrong, or you haven't got your facts right. The way you talk, because the moment you pinpoint at someone and say that it is wrong, or you are doing a mistake, or things like that, what happens? The other person might feel embarrassed, and they will not open up in the next session, or they feel that, okay, I am not going to talk again. What if it is wrong? So we do not want people to have these kind of hesitations or embarrassments, right? And there is a advice to all the leaders or the managers, or these moderators. What they say is, when someone makes a mistake, correct them in isolation, or take them out, or when they are alone, you correct them there. You correct the individuals behind the doors, but when you want to compliment someone, do it in front of everyone. Some of you might have heard about it. कसैले के मिस्टेक गर्छ र उसलाई सचाउनु छ भने चाहिँ उसलाई मात्र बोलाएर उसँग मात्र हुँदाखेरि गर। तर कसैलाई कम्प्लिमेन्ट गर्नु छ, कसैले गरेको कामको स्याबासी दिनु छ भने चाहिँ त्यो सबैजनाको अगाडि गर। I am so impressed with someone's work, but I call that person in my cabin. I said, oh, great work. I'm so happy you did all this great. What's the fun? Do it in front of all the team members. That person will be motivated and energized. So when you are talking in the group, and when you have communication or managing a team, you need to take care of these kind of things. And then there are certain elements. It might be you, it might be me. Sometimes we all are humans, and we have these emotional instabilities at times, where we tend to take out our personal animosity. You might not like someone in your team. You might not like your colleague or your friend or whoever it is. And then whatever that person says, you have this habit of going against it. And this can be a very big challenge to a team leader. You see, in your team, there are two members who never come to a consensus. They are always against each other. Now, how you are supposed to manage it? there is like, if in your meetings, if like these kind of things happen in your group discussion you see, then as a leader or the moderator of the team, it's always better to call that individual away from the group, have a talk with them, tell them that his or her personal goal or vested interest is not of importance here. We are here with certain goals. We plan to achieve something. So concentrate on that goal rather than their personal differences. If you want to be a professional, personal differences has to be kept aside. And if that individual cannot do it, then maybe he doesn't have a place in that professional setup for the next time. So be aware of it. If you start ignoring it, okay, this person is like this, or what to do, we can't do anything, then your group is not going to be an effective one. If you want to take charge, you are the leader of the team, or you are the one who is facilitating these kind of group communication, have the guts to do it. Now, when talking in the group itself, I sometimes have realized that we do not know, or we tend to compromise on the politeness or courtesy. What happens if I say something, I'm so excited about a topic and I'm so convinced that it is the perfect thing to say or it is the best thing to do, and someone else comes and says, no, it might not be done, or there might have been better ideas, I think otherwise, what we do? We might start fighting for our ideas, so much so that we lose our temper, our voice might become very loud, we start fighting, kind of, we go to that kind of mode. That has to be totally under control, or that has to be totally avoided. Now, if when I'm speaking, I see that some of my group members are trying to speak up, they are trying to interrupt me and talk, then what do? Do you increase your voice and then try to win over them? I'm talking, someone else is coming. But I don't want to give up the floor. So what I do, I gush through my content, I try to run, I try to speak very fast, and then I even make my voice louder. So all these are not good way. In fact, do not hesitate to say, excuse me, I'm yet to be done. Please, few minutes more, let me complete. Tell this, and then again continue in your own pace. These are few of the things you have to include or learn. And when you want to present an idea, tell them that I feel this. And then if many a times the difference or difficulty is when we have difference of opinion. When you are communicating in a group, you have difference of opinion. What A is saying, you do not agree with B, B doesn't agree with C. So what you are going to say when you have to differ is, there are some polite phrases like, I would like to differ here. I may have a different opinion here. In my view, you need not tell someone that you are wrong, or I don't trust you, or I don't believe what you say, I don't think you are right. No, you need not say all these things. You can simply say that I would like to differ here. In my opinion, what I feel about this topic is, but you are saying your perspective without claiming or saying anything bad about what others have said. And if there are certain points which you are very convinced and you think that this is the way ahead, even you have ways of telling that. I'm convinced that no one can say anything on this. It is not wrong to say all this. And in the meeting, if the meetings are going some other way, then do not hesitate to say, sorry, I think we are deviating from the topic. Can we come back to the topic, please? Use these kind of phrases. That is going to make you a totally different speaker. The people will notice. We might think that, oh, these are a bit more on the dramatic side, or we are being too polite or too much of courtesy. In day-to-day life, it doesn't work. But it's all about practicing these kind of phrases, using these kind of phrases in your day-to-day conversation so that it becomes your habit. And you do not prepare only for a job interview or for an elevator pitch or a presentation session. If you start practicing these things in your day-to-day life circumstances, then it is going to be very much easy for you to talk about these things, or in this particular, it becomes your style. It becomes your way of communication. Now, when we are having these group conversations and meetings, now there can be problems of conflict. So when you have contradictory ideas, actually already the points that I have told you, if everyone in the meetings or the group discussion start imbibing or practicing those skills, there won't be much conflict, because what has happened, we are going to come up with an open mind. We are going to be open to constructive criticism. If we want to differ, we are going to say that in the polite manner. We are going to let everyone talk and put forward their point. So why would there be a conflict, right? So, but then also, if there is going to be any form of conflict or any conflict will arise, then what can be done about it? So for that, I would like to talk about the major conflict resolution strategies. Okay, so the strategies are, I have taken few very simple things. Like, one is avoidance. People usually avoid. People usually what they do is they avoid conflict. Now, is that a good way or not? That we have to think about it. Usually, if you talk about conflict resolution strategy, people, there are a few things like either you can avoid conflict. Next is you can compromise. Next is you can accommodate. Next is you can collaborate. So many of us might be tempted to avoid the conflict. Like I said earlier, maybe in my team, A and B are always at loggerhead. They always keep on fighting. One says one thing and the next person is never ready to listen to that. So, and what I feel is, okay, these two people are like this. If I say that and I avoid the conflict, I let it be as it is, it's not good for my team. Ultimately, I have to pay for it someday, because the productivity of my team is going to come down. That is one factor. So avoidance is not good. If you avoid conflict, if you do not try to resolve the conflict, it creates lose and lose situation. Neither of the party ever wins. Next is you can be accommodative sometimes. Now, accommodating conflict, what does it mean? You try to understand the perspective or the feelings and the need of the other party. And you say that, okay, fine. From my side, whatever are the compromise I can do, I'll do it. So you accommodate the needs and interest of the other side. If possible, you can do that, but it is also not a win-win scenario. There is, you are losing and you are letting the other side win. The next is collaboration. Now, collaboration is the best way to go forward, where there is both win-win situation for both the parties. But is it that easy? Here, you have to understand that collaboration is not possible. There is a very good saying about negotiation by the former US president. What he has said is, you cannot negotiate with an individual who says, what is mine and what is yours is negotiable. Can you negotiate with that kind of person who says, what is mine and what is yours is negotiable?
No, man. त्यसमा negotiate गर्ने कुरा नै हुँदैन.
Yes, thank you. So conflict arises because of what? When we have difference of opinion, when we have different kind of expectations from the situation, then the conflict arises, right? I have different perception, you have different perception, you think something else is great, I feel something else is great, and then that's how the conflict arises. Now, if I want to resolve the conflict, one of the way of conflict negotiation is, of course, negotiation. Negotiation is but not always the outcome of conflict. Negotiation भनेको आफैमा पनि हुन सक्छ. I want to get something better for me, I will negotiate. There need not be always a very big conflict, then only I'll practice the skills of negotiation. No. So, but then in order to negotiate and get your things done, both the parties should be willing to give up something. Until and unless you are not willing to compromise on certain things, negotiation is never going to happen. That's why they say that you cannot negotiate with an individual who says, what is mine and what is yours is negotiable. So in order to collaborate and come to a win-win situation, both the parties should be willing to give up something here, and then people will give up something only if they are interdependent. This also please understand. Maybe you face some conflict, you want to resolve that conflict, bring everyone on the same page and get things going. But you have to realize, are they willing to come on the same page or not? They will be willing to come, talk, and resolve the conflict only if your goals are interdependent or if you guys are interdependent. If I need you and you need me, then we will be compromising, right? I would be feeling that, okay, I should be giving up because without her, I cannot be. And then the other party will also say, yes, without her help, I'm not able to achieve my goal. So then only the compromise will come. So anytime you are faced with a conflict situation, what you should do, you should analyze what is the reason why both parties will be willing to give up something and come to a mutual understanding. Identify that point. If that point is missing, it is not going to be win-win situation. Usually it is going to be either win-lose or both side loss. That is, you break up. That is, you break the contract, you part ways, and I go my way, you go your way, and the conflict won't be resolved. All the conflict do not go to resolutions also. You cannot always solve all the conflict. Until and unless there is mutual dependence, the conflicts are not going to be resolved. So in communication, or if you are trying to conflict resolution, or if you want to manage it, another two things you need to identify is, I'm thinking about different kind of conflicts that you might be having, or what can actually cause the conflict. There are preventive and curative methods of conflict handling. From the term itself, it is known. Curative means once the conflict has occurred, then you try to resolve it, right? And these are the ways, like you can avoid the conflict, totally ignore it. It will be a loss for both the parties. Either you can accommodate, you can collaborate, or you can even compromise, right? So both will compromise and come to a conclusion. Now there are different preventive methods. It is always better to prevent the conflict than rather than letting it happen, right? So in order to prevent the conflict, what you can do, that is another aspect. There should be proper job description and specification. That is one important thing. Let's take the example of your committee itself. There should be clearly outlined who is going to do what task. The moment you do not share the resources, the moment you are clear on your job expectations, the moment there is proper responsibility and delegation, authority delegation is done, there are very mere chances of conflict arising. But let's say you have just 2 laptops and 5 people are there to work around conflict. My work is important or your work is important. I am also dealing with the same person and handling the same kind of things. You are also dealing with the same person. Our approach might be different. Chances of conflict. So the moment you are not sure of what is expected, what is your role, what are the resources under you, what is your authority, if these things are not well defined, then the conflict will arise. So the best we can do to avoid conflict is think about the preventive measures, how you can de-alienate and segregate all your resources and your resource people so that the conflict doesn't arise. If it has arise, always go for win-win situation. But remember that win-win situation is possible only if both the parties are willing to give up something or modify their initial demand. The most proper way is if both the parties are willing to modify their initial demand, then only conflict can be resolved. Okay, so that is the things we have to take care. Now I was coming to the receiver side and we are talking about the listening, right? So listening skills is very important if you want to become a leader, or even as a leader or a manager, whatever it is, or a mere audience. Now comes the listening. I would like to give us a short walkthrough of the 10 bad listening habits, which has been identified by Ralph Nichols. He is said to be the father of the field of listening. So what he says is, when we as an audience feel that the subject is uninteresting, we start becoming bad listener. The moment I say, oh, what an uninteresting topic, what a dull topic, then I cannot be an active listener. So the moment please decide beforehand that if you are going to be a part of a session, a conversation, a meeting, or a group discussion session, whatever it is, while coming or joining or being the part of that communication process, always have some motivation with you to why you want to be a part of this. Otherwise, if you say that, oh my God, I have to go there and sit for 2 hours now, then of course you are never going to be an active listener. And remember that it is said there is nothing as uninteresting in this world. There's nothing or no topic is uninteresting. It is only the uninterested people. So it is you who have to figure out the use of the content that you are listening to. The moment you figure out why this conversation, this communication, this meeting, or this discussion might be important to you, you will be interested. So always find the use. Next is, don't criticize the speaker. Mostly we hamper our own listening process by criticizing the speaker. We are more concentrated on what the speaker is wearing, how they talk, how they are pronouncing, what kind of attire or what kind of pitch they have, what kind of tone they have. We let ourselves get distracted by all this, and that hampers our listening. Next is we tend to fake attention. You are in a meeting, but what do? You are just dreaming about something else, what you are planning to do after the meeting, what is your Dasai vacation plans, where you are going, what you are wearing, what you are eating. All these things can be a total distraction. So we have to ensure that we are not faking attention. And if there are disturbances in your surrounding, make sure that you are trying to overcome those distractions. Rather than letting yourself get distracted, you have to overcome those distractions. It's really important. Next, don't let emotion-laden words distract you. I might be very passionate about a topic, and when someone else is talking about that topic and they are saying something which I do not believe in, or it is very different than what I thought it was, then I might start talking or thinking in my own mind, or I might start debating in my own mind, and that will make me miss what the speaker said. So if we are aware of these kind of factors, then our listening can be better. Listening is the skill which is learned the earliest, but it is least mastered. And mind you, until and unless you are not a good listener, you cannot be a good orator as well. Because I have to listen to the non-verbals, the feedbacks, the suggestions that I am getting from my audience in order to improvise or work on the message that I'm going to deliver. If I do not take care the feedback, or what is their body language like, what are their non-verbals like, then I won't be getting the feedback properly, and I will not be able to deliver as per the expectations of my audience. So do not compromise on listening. And listening is not only when you are a part of an oral conversation. Even in writing, you have to listen. Here comes the importance of non-verbal communication. How important is non-verbals in communication? What, anyone has any thing or any experience to share with when it comes to non-verbal, how it has impacted the effectiveness of communication? Yeah, someone wants to say something?
Actually, ma'am, I have something like when I was talking with one friend of mine, he was keeps on looking on his phone, and I don't have that kind of his eye attention towards me, so I feel like unexpected. Somehow I feel not effectively with communicating with him. So I have main experience like that, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, that's a great example. Exactly, we feel that, right? Anyone else?
No.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay. Can I share or no?
Yeah, I think if we raise our hand also, it will be easy for me to call out. Anyone interested, you can just raise your hand and I'll call you out.
Yes, ma'am. Like non-verbal communication, I feel like when like some teachers, they say that as much as question you can ask, like when we ask the question, actually they are like their expression is like irritated with our questions,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, and then they are especially in video we can see that like the teacher is irritated even though they are asking us to ask the questions.
Okay, thank you, Pragati. Nice observation. Yeah, next, anyone has anything to share?
Yeah, I can say in Nepali, yes.
Yeah, sure.
सपोज अब कुनै इन्टरटेनमेन्ट प्रोग्रामहरू भइरहन्छ होइन, त्यता
Mm.
बोल्दा चाहिँ पुरा आफ्नो स्पिचहरू चाहिँ अब इन्टरटेनमेन्ट टाइपमा, तर बडी ल्याङ्ग्वेज चाहिँ पुरा फर्मल प्रोग्राम जस्तो गऱ्यो भने अलिक इन्टरेक्टिभ हुँदैन नि, त्यस्तै गरेर नि अब बडी ल्याङ्ग्वेजले नि इफेक्ट पार्छ जस्तो लाग्छ।
Okay, that's nice. Thank you, guys. So that's very true. I mean, great observations. In fact, what happens is that's what. So why it happens and what is the significance of all these factors is because when we talk about non-verbals, we do not realize how we are coming across. When our verbal messages contradict with the non-verbals, actually people would like to take non-verbals into consideration. Let me get to one research. It is a very common one, yes, in non-verbals. Just a moment. Okay, so in non-verbal communication, it is the most important thing in communication, and the most important thing is to hear what is not being said. Now that is quite interesting, right? We have to hear what is not being said, and in all the cases that you guys have given the example, you had done exactly that. In our first example, like when Sudeep said, the person doesn't look or give you an eye contact, the person is with the mobile. He didn't say, I am disrespecting you, or I don't respect you, I do not like you, or I am not interested. But Sudeep already got the message that yes, this guy doesn't seem to be interested in what I'm saying. He or she is not giving me the required respect. So what was not said by that individual, but Sudeep could get that information. Like how now Pragati, verbally they are saying or encouraging questions, but when they ask questions, their non-verbal is doing what? It is showing that they are irritated or frustrated. Now here there is total contradiction. Now why Pragati would like to believe that actually that person is irritated and frustrated? Because we tend to feel non-verbal communication is more involuntary, or it comes out in an unconscious way. So we tend to trust our non-verbals more. So when you guys are speaking, make sure that your verbal and non-verbal doesn't contradict. If it contradicts, by the words I might be saying something, but my non-verbals might be giving totally different message, and it doesn't look good. And people are going to go along with the non-verbal messages they are receiving rather than what I'm saying verbally. And why that happens is there is a study done by Merabian, and it is one of the most popular one which you would be finding anywhere whenever non-verbal communications are discussed. It says that the interpretation of a message is 7% verbal, 38% vocal, and 55% visual. Therefore, 93% of communication is non-verbal in nature. The other way of putting this is people will take the message around only 7% of the message from the words that you have said. Only 7% of the message they are going to get from the words you have said. Rest 38% vocal means in which kind of tone you are talking. They are going to analyze your tone. Next 55% is visual. That means your body language, your body gestures. So around 93% of the message they are going to figure out from the tone of your voice, from the body language and the body gestures. So if we do not take care of that, that mere 7% is not going to help us out. When there is a different, it makes a very big difference. If I go and tell my mom I want to go somewhere and I ask her, Mom, can I go? She told me, do whatever you want. Now hear my tone. Do whatever you want. That is one thing. Now if my mom said, do whatever you want, isn't there a difference? I'm using the same set of words. Do whatever you want. If I give it in writing, people will be making different kind of interpretation. कसैलाई चाहिँ जेसुकै गर भने जस्तो लाग्ला, उनीहरूले होइन यो भनेको एक्चुअली द स्पिकर डजन्ट वान्ट यु टु डु भन्ला नि, कसैले डु वाट एभर यु वान्ट मिन्स दे आर गिभिङ अस 100% लिबर्टी. What is going to differentiate this sentence is how I am saying it. What is my expression like? What was my tone like? त्यसले गर्दाखेरि त्यो मेसेजलाई कसरी पर्सिभ गर्छ भन्ने कुरा totally different हुन्छ. And the example given by Ravi, yes, appearance, you are saying something, but you are totally dressed up in something else. Your nonverbals are doing something. So the emphasis of the message will be lost. The significance or the impact of the message will be lost. You will be getting the message. You will be understanding what is being said. But if the formal message was backed by the formal situation, it might be more impactful. If the casual outings or casual conversations are backed with casual kind of settings, maybe the impact and the involvement of the audience will be much better. If your non-verbals and verbals are at contradiction, then even the audience will be left divided. Some might take it in one way and the other person totally other way. You know that famous illusion of an old lady and a young girl. Some people see the old lady in that illustration and the others see some young girl, and if you invert the pictures, there are so many different ways. So we individuals are very different, the way we perceive the nature, the information that is there in the nature. So we have to even take care of our nonverbals, and in professional life it is really important. Along with the choice of words, what kind of expressions you carry with yourself. There are some people who are always with an upset kind of a face. It's so hard for them to smile. They are always lethargic. That is not good. In your professional life, if I see someone who just after entering the room, they are so upbeat. Hi, hello, they greet everyone. They share some information. They carry a smile with themselves. It totally makes your personality different. So let's try to be that kind of a person who brings in energy and positive vibe in the room, even from the non-verbal cues, rather than someone who just is always gloomy and lack of energy and sad and upset or frowning, sluggish. All these gives very negative image. And even the way we dress up, or how when you go to your office or your formal programs, how do you carry yourself? Are you formal, or your dress are properly ironed? Your shoes are all polished? How you shake hands with the other individual? These are all signs of professional etiquettes. When you shake hands also, do you ensure that it is neither too tight nor too feeble? It should not be like dead fish, neither it should be something like a place to show your strength. And for how long you can shake your hands. With ladies, how you should be doing it. And while talking on the phone during the office hours, is it good or bad? Should you be taking the personal calls or not? What kind of ringtone you have in your mobile? And how you take the call when you make a call. There are different telephone etiquettes. You have mobile etiquettes, so dining table etiquettes. All these also says so many things about us, though these are not the core part of communication, but it is of course a part of non-verbal communication, because people are going to judge me in the way I drink, I eat, I dress, I talk, everything. And it has and why they are judging me is because all of those factors are sending certain messages to them. That's why you have to even be assured of the nonverbals. I find it like when I call certain hospitals or restaurants, they're so least interested, hello, that's the way they receive the call. When you hear that sound and that tone, you don't even feel like asking them anything. Nonverbal has that kind of impact. The person received the call and they are greeting me. Hello, the bhanirasa. Tar कसरी भनिरहेछ, कस्तो टोनमा भनिरहेछ. Is it warm, welcoming, or it is very rude and then shouting at the top of the voice? Sometimes what happens, you have to modulate your voice according to the kind of sentence you are talking, whether it is a statement or it is a question. You should be able to change your tone. If you do not do that, people will be bored. They will be like, okay, can that person just stop talking? Or it is so relaxed if they don't talk, because they shout at the pitch of their voice. The tone is not that great. They do not pause. Punctuations are not taken care at all. All these are very important aspects of your nonverbals. Now, what kind of distance you keep among the individuals is also important, right? With whom you are very comfortable, you might be very close to them. But with the people whom are just your associates or acquaintances, you will be maintaining certain distance. So how you touch, where you touch, what kind of distance you maintain, what you wear, how you wear, how do you talk, everything has a meaning. And it is a part of nonverbal communication. So do not concentrate only on the content or what you talk, also how you talk. How you say it is very important. Rather than what you say, how you say it has a very big importance. Even writing emails and all, dear sir, ma'am, or that hi, hello, your regards, how you undersign your email, everything gives so much of message or so many messages, whether you are considerate or courteous or not. Are you in urgency or it's a very relaxed kind of a meal? There are so many things decided based on the approach you choose. So nonverbal is one of the factor. Listening, we had a discussion on this. Now intercultural communication, especially as the committee members of this international competition that you are a part in, you know that Nepalese culture and American culture differs in many ways. And in every culture, as you are going to have regional level, then at the worldwide level, this competition, you might be meeting with people from different strata or different walks of life. Their culture is going to be very different. So you have to understand that in every culture, everything is not understood or decoded in the same way. So how you are going to make yourself culturally adaptive, flexible, that is also important. There are different dimensions based on which the culture differs. Okay, so that is an entire very in-depth kind of a thing. So I won't be touching or going much deeper on it, but you have to understand this. Cultural communications are deeper and more complex than spoken or written messages. So what you said and think is right in one culture might not be taken in the same way in another culture. So be vigilant about that. How you value time, what kind of respect you give to your elders, whether the society is risk taker or risk averse, whether you value collectivism or individualism. On based on these dimensions, the culture varies. So earlier people used to say, treat others the way you want them to be. They treat people the way you want to be treated, right? That is what they say. तिमीलाई जसरी अरूले treat गरोस् जस्तो लाग्छ, treat them also likewise. अब अहिले चाहिँ in the globalized world, it has been modified as treat people the way they expect to be treated. That means in the cultural sense, what is good in their culture, what is right in their culture, what they expect, learn about that culture also, because what befits you need not be the best thing to do with the other culture. Because according to the culture, the dress we wear, the food we eat, the numbers which are good luck or bad luck, the signs which are good omen or bad omen, everything is different. Even our professionalism, what is right, what is wrong, how they take the holidays, what they value, whether professional accomplishment or personal accomplishment, it all varies from culture to culture. So we have to take care of all that factors. So lastly, just 2 points I would like to mention here. One is empathy, and next is emotional intelligence. So I am so sure that you guys are already aware of it, but in order to be a good communicator, these two things should never be ignored. When I told about you attitude and considering or being considerate of the audience itself, it comes in empathy. You put yourself in other shoes and try to understand their viewpoints and try to understand what is important or not important, or what is like to see through others' eyes. And next is having emotional intelligence. Our IQ is not only the important thing right now in this world. In fact, emotional intelligence is very important if you want to become a leader. If you want to communicate like a leader, you have to understand your own emotions, the other's emotion, and should be able to relate those emotions together and solve the problems of social and personal nature. So emotional intelligence is really important to have good relationships, and relationships will survive only based on communication. Today, if I know you, I communicate with you, then we have relation. The moment I think that I do not know you, we do not communicate, and thus there is no relationship. So the basis of any relationship is communication, and for effective communication, emotional intelligence is a must, because emotional intelligence is the factor which is going to let us understand how to communicate with what kind of people in which scenario. यस्तो सिचुएसनमा यो मान्छेसँग मैले कसरी कम्युनिकेट गरेँ भने चाहिँ मैले चाहेको रिजल्ट पाउँछु त भनेर हामीलाई थाहा दिने हाम्रो हतियार नै के हो, that is emotional intelligence. So we should start working on it. There are different tests in Google's which you can take, which will let you know what whether you are emotionally intelligent or what is your quotient like. So it's a very vast and interesting topic, and one of the important tools in developing your own soft skills. And lastly, I already told about it, but then the public speaking, yes, always do not think that you lack something. I do not have language fluency, that's why I cannot speak or give presentation, or I'm the center of attention, everyone is looking at me, that's why I'm nervous. No, language is not going to be a barrier if you work on it. So it is not only for you or me, there are many other peoples in this world which feel, who are scared of facing the mass. But it doesn't mean that we do not have great speakers. You just have to ensure that the initial jitter or the jittery feeling that you have when you face the mass, if you are able to overcome those few seconds, then you are good to go. Think of yourself as the mentor for your audience. Then it is, you will be shifting the spotlight from yourself to your audience, and that is going to make you very much comfortable. So if you take care of these kind of factors while communicating, even on your day-to-day life or any of your professional engagement, I guess that it won't be very difficult for you to be named as an effective communicator. Okay, so I think that's all from my side. If there are any questions or anything that you would like to discuss, I'm open for it. You can just raise your hands and I can call out your names so that we don't overlap with each other.
Ma'am, can I ask?
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, I want to correct that. We said that we need to have professional relationship with our colleagues instead of having personal relationship. And does this mean that we should not have relationship more than just in a professional way?
Okay, so no, I have certain things to share about it. Okay, so I will talk about it. Now, what happens is, yes, when you are professionally involved in your office setup or things like that, there is a saying. Now, let's try to understand from this perspective. Earlier, the management theories and the leadership theories, what they used to say is, keep an arm's distance with your colleagues or your team members. That is what they used to say. Now, keeping an arm's distance, what does it mean? That means don't let everyone come very close to you. Don't be very close to everyone. But nowadays, it is said that if you want to be in dark, then only keep arm's distance. Because the moment you are not approachable by your team members or your colleagues, then there is going to be communication gap. So you should be open and welcoming and accessible. But then there is a hairline difference between being professional and personal. Like, for example, I can have an open door policy, right? I might let all my team members approach me, have a talk with me. I might be accessible over informal chats and all that is fine. But then just if I go to celebrate a program or over a drink or things like that, if I start sharing all the nitty-gritties of the company, I start gossiping and backbiting with others, then what do you think? My image, the next day I go to the office, are people going to see me in the same way? No, right?
No, ma'am. No.
Yeah, our image is going to be totally different. So what you have to decide is, it is not about building a wall around you. Just to be professional doesn't mean that building a wall around yourself, but it is more about letting people come in, but then a demarcation has to be there about what is appropriate and what is inappropriate or inappropriate. So keeping a distance will make you or keep you in dark. The team cannot work. Again, it will be more of a red tapeism and bureaucracy kind of things will come up. But opening up to what extent? I did not talk about my family life or with my married life or everything with the people whom I have professional relation, but still I can be open, warm, and share the things which makes me me, right? Because as a person we have different parts, different roles. I am a friend, I am a daughter, I may be a daughter-in-law, I might be a wife, I might be this, I might be that. But which role that is different parts of my personality. So as a professional, I should be open. So professionalism need not be mixed with personal touch, but there is a demarcation. Being professional also, we can still be friends. We can still have good and amiable relationship with our colleagues. So just understand that we should not go with the flow in such a way that we forget our status and where we stand, and then started playing nasty politics. Actually, what makes it bad is when we are involved in nasty politics, when we differentiate or discriminate, and then when we start backbiting and gossiping, and when we are not fair, then these kind of things will actually make us less professional rather than being open and accessible. So that is what I feel. It's my personal opinion. Okay.
Ma'am, another question. It is just relating to the previous question, but how can we maintain a professional relationship with your own manager, or if you have a relative working in same organization, and how can we have communication in such type of situation?
Okay, thank you for the question again. So see, if I am related to someone I am working with, and there is always this problem, it is actually an unwanted burden, I would say. If I am working under my own relative, or maybe I am there and people know me, whether I be the manager or I am being managed by my relatives or the known people, what we have to ensure is work is work. Now, if that can be done by providing the fair playground, the moment you do not practice nepotism or favoritism, you are fair and give equal opportunity to everyone in your team, then there is no point. You need not go behind convincing everyone that I got this because of my own caliber. It's not because my uncle was there or my aunt is here. No. The moment everyone knows that you have earned it on your own, and then mind you one thing, when you are professional, we might feel that people do not judge us or they do not know who we are, what we do. But what I have realized is your work speaks for you in volumes. So just make sure, no matter under whom you are working or whom you are surrounded with, you should be true to your work. And when you are in the position to award someone or punish someone, make sure that it is always based on the efforts and the performance, and not based on the individual characteristics or how that individual is attached or related to you. The moment we are not biased on all these factors, it should not hamper our professional image. And keeping a distance on professional and personal thing, there are a few things, like I would like to share my own experience. It might not be very much relevant, but still, I started my career quite early. And when I started teaching my master's degree, and I joined the financial sector in 2009, right? So I started working immediately after my bachelor's level. I was involved in a totally new market. I was heading a company by 2010 June. So I was quite young, and I had to deal with different government stakeholders and people who were much more experienced and senior to me. Now the Facebook and this social media was just coming in at that time. We used to have friend requests from different participants. And when I started taking classes for master's degree in 2012, there were some of my juniors who were my students. So now imagine, they know me, they have seen me in college. I might have had different kind of relationship with them, but now in the college, I have a very formal relation. I have taught the brother of my friend, and my own cousin I have taught in the class. Now, how am I supposed to be professional is because I have to forget that he is my brother. I have to forget that I know them even beyond the class. I have to be myself there, so focused that when I take their name, when I see their face, they are just another student for me. And initially, during the Facebook time I was telling you, that's why I had to create a professional. I had my Facebook account from 2008, I guess, 6 or 8 something, 8. And then in 2010 or 11, I created my next account, which was only for professional reason. So all my students, all my colleagues, everyone is added to my separate account. Because at that time, what I was professionally and what I was personally, I was not comfortable sharing my personal life. because many of the people who are in my professional life were also associated with me in a personal life. And the kind of, in our social media, we are casual, right? We are different person. So if you know me personally, I'm very different person than what you know me professionally. So that mixing up was not feasible for me at that time, maybe because of my age as well as the field that I was working in. So I have created two accounts for myself. Now that is how I have segregated my professional life with my personal life. I am not comfortable sharing everything at the professional platform. So you have to have a demarcation. What you are happy with, what you are not happy with. What I share with whom, that is under my control, isn't it? So if we are true to that and we understand what we want other people to know about us and what I want to keep private, once you are ready and you are true to your work, and the moment you are given the authority to award someone and punish someone, if you are fair and biased, it should not be a problem. That's what I have experienced. I hope I addressed it somehow to some extent.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Right.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
It's me, Prajul.
Okay, Prajul.
Ma'am, my question is, while presenting or pitching, many of us tends to have very high level of stress. This stress leads to awkwardness, being in a statue position, or severe nervousness, or sometimes even speaking very fastly. Except then practicing, what else we can do to ease this stress management?
Okay, thank you, Prajwal. Thank you for the question. It's very much the genuine question, and mostly we all face this question. Now, see, to some extent, we have to accept that no matter what a good speaker the other person might be, initially there is going to be some kind of jittery feelings for everyone. If even if you read about big speakers or very successful speakers and motivators, you find that they have accepted to some extent that every time the crowd is new, every time the stage is new, there is a kind of sometimes you have to give yourself that liberty to be a bit nervous and then acknowledge that yes, this is a new crowd and I have something to achieve, and it's okay to feel nervous to some extent. First, accept that. Don't try to be a perfectionist. I should not have felt nervous. Why I'm already nervous? Why my heart is beating fast? Why my hands are shivering? Why my legs are shaky? Do not concentrate on that. Yes, practicing is one thing, like you said. Beside practicing, I think another thing that I find my confidence is the content. The moment I feel that I know what I'm going to talk about, my confidence is very different. When I feel that, let them bring about any kind of questions they want. When I am confident that I can handle the questions to the best of my ability, or I have given my best, that gives me confidence. Next one is, maybe in your life you have already given so many presentations so far. Don't ignore the positive feedbacks that you have got. It plays a very big role. Maybe in the class your teachers have given you positive feedback, your friends have given you positive feedback. Usually what we tend to do, oh, they keep on saying they are my friends, so they said, they are my facilitators, so they say. I know still that there is room for improvement. It is good to believe that you have room for improvement, to strive for that perfection. But whatever are the feedbacks that people have given you, take it in your mind. Make it a habit of appreciating that. Oh, wow, start feeling good about it. Next, look at your audience and catch hold of 2-3 those kind of faces in your audience whom you feel are going to be the genuine listeners, because you see them following you by giving you eye contact, by nodding the head, by responding to the messages that you are sharing. The moment you find 2-3 people in 3 corners of the room, and then your confidence will boost up. That is also very good trick. And then you need not look at only those. For first initial few moments you do that, and then slowly you start looking at everyone. Your confidence will automatically rise. Next one is smile. Smiling with 1 or 2 face, and when the people smile back at you, it gives a very big positive vibes. And next is Another thing I have found out is, when you start your presentation or a speech, do a bit of a hard work on that. For the first 5 minutes or 2-3 minutes of a presentation, try to make it maximum impactful. Later on content also you will be working, but first 2-3 minutes जुन हुन्छ नि त्यसमा चाहिँ share that kind of information, bring about that kind of quotations or startling facts or something impactful, or tell a life story of yours which will hook your audience. That hook factor is very important. The moment you say something, त्यति बेला तिमी नर्भसै भए पनि, though you might be nervous, you might be a bit shaky, but share one information which will attract your audience, and the moment you see people responding the way you expected them to, it is going to boost your confidence manyfold. These are all from my personal experience, what I feel good about. मैले भनेको कुरामा अडियन्सहरूले केही कुरा गरेर हाँसेर अथवा नट गरेर अथवा ए या हो नि जस्तो गरेर मात्र मलाई नन भर्बली आछ भने पनि त्यसले नै मलाई कस्तो इजमा ल्याइसकेको हुन्छ कि. So try to find out these kind of factors. You try to get your confidence from your audience and your setting itself. We have to try to search it within us. That is one factor. Now you already said beside practice भनेर I'm going to this. Practice though. Practice गर्नु भनेको चाहिँ we are trying to find our confidence within ourselves by our own efforts. So content ma great control over your content, that is like non-failure, it's 100% go-getter kind of a thing. The moment you have the confidence on the content, you must be blown away by your own content. Wow, what could have been better? Yes, my slides look good. Okay, I have decided everything. The moment you have that confidence, or the moment you appreciate and are contented with your own performance, your confidence, and next, try to hook your audience, and the moment they are hooked, the kind of expressions and non-verbals you get from your audience, that is going to really enhance your confidence. So search your confidence in your own surrounding, and never take the compliments that you get on a lighter note. We usually tend to ignore it. People will say this, jasto लाग्छ तर त्यसले पनि impacts पार्दछ. It is not easy to get good compliments, and many a times, and while giving and taking compliments, this I wanted to tell you as a part of your professional communication. Have you guys anyone heard about this backhanded compliments? Do you know this term? Backhanded compliments.
No, ma'am, I haven't heard.
No? Anyone? Okay. So backhanded compliments, sorry, I always try to play with the Zoom, but then, okay, I think I'll stop sharing the screen. Okay, so backhanded compliment, you say, as we might be complimenting each other frequently, take this as, you look so good today. This dress suits you, or you are looking very nice today. Even these kind of things, actually it is all good, right? All are positive. And the person who is giving this compliment might not have thought, it might have some wrong meanings. But then when you say you look good today, this you are too young for this achievement. यस्तो young age मा यस्तो achievement भन्न खोजे अनि तर त्यसले चाहिँ के गर्यो भने these have negative connotations. आज मात्र राम्रो देखेको अथवा ए तिम्रो एजको मान्छेले यस्तो काम गरेको ओके भनेर people have these tendencies to take even that. Or the choice of words matter, professional communication matter. As we use compliments quite frequently, there is a concept of backhanded compliments. So there are ways. हामीले कम्प्लिमेन्ट दिएको पनि अब सर्टन कुरामा लाइटली लिने कारण किन हो किनभने कतिवटा कम्प्लिमेन्ट्स चाहिँ यस्तो ब्याक ह्यान्डेड पनि हुन्छ ए आजलाई मात्र भन्यो अथवा ए यु डिड सो गुड बिकज अफ दिस भन्छ नि अब टु गुड त भनि नै रहेछ नि तर एउटा प्याच दिस इज समथिङ विच जस्ट ब्रिङ्स डाउन द एसेन्स अफ द्याट कम्प्लिमेन्ट or the positiveness or the positive vibes in that compliments. So let's not try to give compliments in such a way that people might not find it totally positive. And when you are given compliments, don't be very critical about it, accept it. Think that it is a reward for the hard work that you have paid. The moment you are a bit forgiving for yourself, you give yourself room to make mistakes and learn from it, that also will boost your confidence. rather than always being behind yourself and, oh, I am not done, I haven't still done, I could have done better. Don't always be blaming or finding fault with yourself. So all this will definitely help you to improve your confidence.
Thank you.
Ma'am, can I ask another one?
Okay.
Um, Ma'am, nowadays, due to the current situation, let's say we are having more virtual meetings. So, in such virtual meetings, how can we have proper communication? Like, how can we know that the receiver is receiving? भन्नाले हामीले जे भन्न चाहिरहेको छौँ अब उता अपोजिट साइडबाट पनि त्यही बुझिरहेको छ भनेर हाउ क्यान वी इन्स्योर द्याट बिकज हामीलाई थाहा त हुँदैन नि त अनि के भइरहेको छ त्यसमा भनेर त
Okay. I think if it is all about to ensure that whatever was the message that you were passing on has been received in the same intention by the other party, if that is our only concern, then making the minutes of the meeting and sharing that would be one perfect way. In order to ensure the effectiveness of any meeting, even in a general term, we give the agenda, right? So whoever, like I told you earlier, in that case of holding a meeting, what I said was all the participants, whoever we are going to invite in the meeting, we are going to get those people who have a role to play or whom we believe have some positive contribution or positive role in that particular meeting or its outcome. So one thing you can do is before 1 or 2 days ahead of the meeting, please send the agenda of the meeting. You tell them who are the participants and what are the agenda you are going to work on. Circulate that. Make sure that you write at the end that please acknowledge the receipt of this mail, so that everyone who are the participants make sure that yes, these are the mail has been received. So that is an acknowledgement. But how you are going to collect the agenda itself, that is also important. If you guys are working from different parts, you guys are coordinating different segments, then like in offices you have interdepartmental meetings, then what happens, everyone send the department's agendas to the HR. Then the HR compiles all the agenda and then she or he shares with everyone that okay, for the meeting on 10th of October, this is the agenda of different departments. So HR is going to talk about this, research is talking this, account. So similarly, you can also say Shreya has this, Ravi Rajan wants to talk about this, Pragati wants to talk about this. You compile the agenda and send it. What it will help Shreya to work on Ravi, Rajan, Pragati or Sudeep's agenda and make up her mind. She will do her homework. Similarly, all others will do homework and come prepared so that they have certain things, good things to contribute. Rather than knowing about everything then and there, if you give them some time to do some homework on the agenda of the meeting, then there will be better discussions. And next, to ensure it is, then you will be sending a meeting minutes. That okay, in our today's meeting, this was the agenda and these are the decisions taken. So in that decision taken, now you have to say, so for the next meeting or before we sit for the next meeting, by 15th of October, Ravi will be updating all of us on this. Sudeep will figure out this and come back with these details. Rajan is going to do this. So segregate the tasks that is to be done by each individual before we meet again. So then there is no confusion, and then everyone knows what is to be done when you have the deadline. And for the next meeting, you review the minutes. Hamro last time ko meeting ma chai, according to the minutes, this is to be done. Okay, Sudeep, is it done? What is your take? Okay, Ravi, did you find any problems or what was the status? So then the tasks won't lag behind. Okay, so that would be the best way, I think, to ensure or to make sure that everyone is involved and everyone is on the same page. There might be internet fluctuation, there might be this, that, but if you have the habit of collecting the agenda, sharing the agenda beforehand, getting everyone's input, and then sitting for again making the minutes and sharing the minutes, that also action oriented minutes we call it. Action oriented means by this time this person is going to do this, which was decided in the meeting, so that in next meeting you can clarify the things accordingly. Or in the midweek also you can say, okay, by today Pragati was supposed to get back, what's the status, and Pragati will also know, okay, by today I have to get back on these kind of things. So that would definitely enhance the efficiency, I feel. Are you practicing any of these, I hope I didn't repeat the same thing.
Yes, ma'am. We are practicing some of that.
Some of that. Okay, good. Yeah,
For
that is
for
the
our
only way to.
every weekly meeting, we are asking each member what was the last status of a program, and
Hmm.
about all feedback, overall feedback also.
Yeah, okay. Yes, collectors tend to have this habit of collecting the agenda also and distributing it so that everyone is well prepared. Then and there, people might run out of ideas, but if they work on it during their free time, then when they come to meeting, then they can contribute productively.
Ma'am, another one. Can I ask?
Okay.
If anyone has queries, they may ask, and I'll ask later on if it's so.
I think there are no questions in the chat, so I think Shreya, you can go ahead.
Ma'am, is the presentation style and the presentation way different than we do in academically and that we do professionally?
Um, Now your style, yeah, because of the purpose of the presentation, it might be a bit different. And when you are doing it professionally, you have a bit of liberty to give it an individualistic touch. As a person, my personality can be deflected, or I can reflect my personality in the professional kind of setup, because if I can give that personal touch. In academics, we might be a bit hesitant, right? Because it is a very much formal setup, an academic requirement. You are doing it in front of the faculties or your facilitators, and the environment there is more formal. Professionalism, when we come to the professional setups, though the setting is formal, you are given certain authority. You have certain authority under you. You have that leverage, or that the freedom to individualize, because we treat you as an adult who is capable of conducting that job. That's why you are there for the job. So your approach, how would you like to talk about it, to what extent, what kind of information you are going to project it. And certain things might not be appropriate in academic setting, but in professional setting, that might be totally taken in a mature way. So it can differ. I believe it can differ, and you have a bit more liberty to add your personal touch on your presentation style when you do it professionally. You have to make it more engaging. Not like you cannot come by hearting everything and then do your presentations like mostly many people do in the academics, and it is still considered. When you are doing professionally, another thing is you have to be ready for interruptions, and even for the cross questions, abrupt or impromptu kind of presentations. So like, you have to be ready. You will not be always given a 1 week's time to come and present. So impromptu style of presentations might be more common. And it is not that you are always going to be doing your presentation only in your office. You have to go out and do so. When you leave your own comfort zone, you should be comfortable when you are even faced with new kind of situations or scenarios. So these things might always make it different and more challenging than in academic setup. Okay. So I think we'll end our session here then, if there are no more questions. So shall we end the session?
Ma'am,
So
shall I
Mr.
continue?
Home, what? Okay, please.
Yeah,
Please
so
take
if you
over.
have any questions, I don't think there is more questions. So thank you, seriously, ma'am, for your wonderful session and knowledgeable session. Now I'd like to call Deputy Campus Director, Mr. Prajwal Mahajan, for concluding the session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Om. Today, we had a very insightful session regarding our basic communication skill. I believe that this session will not only improve in our personal life but also in our professional life. Ma'am has given us a clear, somewhat overview picture of communication process, non-verbal communication, emotional intelligence, empathy, and many more. I believe most of us will now work on increasing our competencies from now on. Thank you for all your participation today. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, ma'am, for accepting our invitation and enlightening us with your knowledge. Ma'am, we will also be providing with you a certificate from Hult Prize that you will receive in your mail. Now, thank you. Over to you, Home.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me. I hope I was able to add some value and make it worth it. Okay, so it was great to be here, and I wish you all the best for this new endeavor of yours. I'm sure that the names I'm seeing here will do great things ahead. So
Thank
glad
you,
to
ma'am.
be a part of the journey. Have a great time ahead and stay safe,
Thank you,
everyone.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Exactly.
Thank you, ma'am.
Recording stop.